I don't. What is? Who thought this would be funny?
Yes, you read the title right. Yes, I know I've reviewed movie 43 three times already. The first was in 2014 where I ate a bunch of breadsticks. The second was the heavily scripted video where you can see me reading the script. And the third was closest to being good, but I wasn't really happy with how that video turned out either. So here I am, back again, and I'm talking about movie 43. And I hope I turn out happy with this video and that I never have to talk about this piece of shit movie 43 ever again. I never felt happy with any of those videos for various reasons, but mainly because none of them really truly explain why this is my most hated movie. I mentioned that it is my most hated movie in all of them except the live stream because it was the first time I had seen movie 43. And I need to justify that. I don't want to just say, oh, it's my least hated movie and then list off why it's bad and not really explain why it's my most hated. I need to do this justice, okay? You know how soul draining it is? The past two times I've reviewed it, I didn't even watch the movie back. I wrote those from memory. There's going to be three portions of this video. The first portion is going to be me running through each short and reviewing them. Now you may be asking yourself, why would you run through every short? We could look at one or two of them, realize they're not funny, and then assume the rest are too.
And another thing is that if I were to just talk in generalities and then use the occasional clip as evidence, it would not adequately get across how painful this movie is to sit through.
So then once we're done with that, we will move on to the production history. I think it helps contextualize what we're going to talk about in the first section. And then the third section will be entirely dedicated to me trying to explain why it is my least favorite movie. So here we go. So the first segment is the pit. It is the wraparound shorts. Something weird is that this is only in the theatrical version. And I can't show you any clips of it because basically every version of the movie you can find will be an alternate version with a wraparound short called The Thread, about kids looking for movie 43 on illegal websites. The only footage I could find is some shitty bootleg footage on YouTube. I'm not going to be using that. A man, Charlie Wessler, the man who in real life came up with the idea for this movie, is being played by Dennis Quaid. And this guy, Charlie Wessler, is talking to a Hollywood executive and pitching a script for a movie he's written. And each short is basically a storyline from his script, sort of reenacted. So, you know, you sort of go along with this for a while. Eventually the executive is like, this is shit, and tells him to get out, basically. Tells him to get out. And then the writer, Charlie Wessler, pulls a gun on the executive and forces him to listen to the rest of his ideas. And then we sort of continue for a while. Some wacky things happen. Seth MacFarlane is here for some reason. And then at the end, the executive pulls a gun on Wessler and shoots him. But then the cameras pull back and reveal it was just another part of the movie. You know, there's a director saying cut and whatnot. It has a lame ending, but I actually think this is the best short in the entire movie, which is saying something because, again, you can't, like, this short is not in the movie anymore. But the reason this is the best short, and it's a great idea, because it recontextualizes the rest of the shorts. Because in the logic of the movie, you are watching this bad writer's obviously terrible ideas that could work. Like maybe maybe you have this setup of a guy pitching a script to an executive. Like you could do like different genres. Like maybe one is an obviously bad horror film, one's an obviously bad like action movie. Plenty of people have done like let's make a bad movie on purpose style movies. But that's not what these shorts are. They're just bad. They're not funny at how bad they are. Even 13-year-old me knew this.
To be fair, the point is that he makes terrible ideas.
The point is that he makes terrible ideas, but it's not funny how terrible it is.
Like, you'll see it when I describe these shorts, but none of them are written or filmed or give off any sort of indication that we're supposed to be laughing at the short and not with it. So yeah, even though I think this is the best short in the movie, it's still pretty bad. And even if it saved the movie, it's not in the movie anymore. The alternate wraparound segment, or I guess it is just the wraparound segment. Yes, some kids are looking online for a dangerous movie called Movie 43. See, that's what I would do in the other two videos. In the other two videos, I would just, whenever I get to something I don't want to talk about, I would just say, yeah, this happens, whatever, and then move on. And that's not out of laziness, that's out of, I think, describing what happens in this short is so useless and worthless that it would be a waste of your time to sit here and describe what happens, but let's waste your fucking time. So two friends make a viral YouTube video. They do this weird thing where they throw a dartboard at a guy who has a dart in his mouth. It's really weird. But it turns out that the virality of the video was actually a prank by one of the friends' younger brother. In my notes, I just wrote annoying kid. I legitimately don't know which kid I'm referring to. This is like, that's not a joke. I legitimately don't remember what made me write that. So the friends decide to get back at the younger brother. They decide to prank him as well. And the first part of their plan is to distract him, right? So they tell him about this dangerous banned movie called Movie 43.
It's the most dangerous film in the world.
I mean, they're not wrong.
What's so bad about it?
It can kill you.
I mean, they're not wrong. Okay, why would you want to watch it?
That's a good question.
If you can watch it all the way through, from beginning to end, you're rewarded beyond your wildest dreams.
Where's my goddamn reward? So they go on Zwoggle. So while the younger brother is looking for Movie 43, one of the friends takes the younger brother's laptop. He goes to various porn sites, right, to fill his laptop with as many viruses as possible. I'm not making this up. And while he's there, he jerks off to one of the porn sites. Again, not making this up. So they find a bunch of videos on the dark web that are the skits. Sort of. Like, the first couple, you see them scrolling over the video and hitting play, and then it goes full screen, and then you see the skit. But close to the end, they just start playing the skits. So, like, is this another video, or is this just a thing that's happening now? Like, they got really lazy towards the end in integrating the skits within this wraparound short. Okay, this is the one and only time I'm going to mention it. The acting sucks. Not just in this short, in all of the shorts. They range from completely and utterly phoning it in to kind of passable. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because I could, after every short, say the acting was bad. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to say it here, and you could just assume that criticism will, like, imagine this clip playing every time we talk about a new short. Just imagine that in your head, and then we can move on. I will say, though, so far, this isn't too bad. Like, it's not funny, but it's not terrible. So then a bunch of mobsters infiltrate their firewall or whatever the fuck. No, I am not making this up. And they warn them that if they watch movie 43, then like the world will end, the civilization will be destroyed. I mean, they're not wrong, and they just ignore them. Like this bothers me so much, and I get it's a joke, and I get it means nothing, but it really does bother me when even stupid little things don't have any consequence to them. And now you may be thinking, like, watching this, right, that the joke is that it's going to be another prank from the younger brother, right? Like, that's what I thought. Like, oh, the younger brother's playing a trick on them, and he hired some actors. Yeah, that could be kind of funny, maybe, so they don't do it. That would make too much sense.
We gotta click this button.
Do not click the button. Do not click the...
Suck it.
I love how he screamed as the tab was closed. So they find the real movie 43. It is from the future, and and the younger brother is a soldier who is leading a group of resistance fighters who survived the societal collapse that was brought about by movie 43. I mean, they're not wrong. And he's the same age, even though this is years in the future, presumably. I wouldn't mind how little sense it makes if it was funny.
It's supposed to be a comedy, but it's not funny. I'm just not laughing.
So then the mom enters, and she's wearing the same, like, clothes from the video that one of the friends jerked off to. So the friend has a mental breakdown. And then an earthquake hits and kills everybody. Thank God. However, Masturbation Boy here survived. Aren't you happy for him? And he finds the younger brother's laptop, which is still there somehow, and he watches the final skits. This rambling, incoherent mess of a short pisses me off by existing. It has absolutely zero internal logic. Like, oh, a bunch of mobsters show up. Now it's the apocalypse. Now, even though they made up movie 43, like they literally just name a number, it's somehow real. And like not everything has to matter, but something has to matter. I'm not against, like, random humor in all cases, but this is just bad. Kate Winslet goes on a blind date. It's Hugh Jackman, who seems like the perfect guy, and he has balls on his neck. The joke is that nobody comments on it. So Kate Winslet's like, ooh, ooh, but no one else reacts to it, which is a weird, I don't get it. If it does make you laugh, it's in the second after he reveals he has balls on his neck, not for the minutes after he reveals it, in which they repeat the same joke. You are just watching Hugh Jackman with balls on his neck, and Kate Winslet going, ooh. That's the short. The only joke is that he has balls on his neck. And, like, maybe it could work if this was like a 2-second gag. Like, literally, he reveals he has balls on his neck, Kate Winslet makes an ooh face, and then you cut. Maybe that could work. But a common theme with this movie is to just drag these shorts out, even though they're only telling one joke.
This is funny. Like,
Oh my God.
it's killing me.
How long is this gonna last? It's the same joke. There's no new jokes. Like, they haven't made a joke. It's just that he has balls on his chin. That's the joke.
And I think that's why I'm unhappy with my previous reviews, is because so many of these shorts, it feels like there's nothing to add to them. And don't get me wrong, I love dumb humor, right? Like, I don't want to be all high and mighty and say, oh, you can't laugh at fart jokes or poop jokes or whatever. I think that it can be done well, and it can be done poorly. And this is like the epitome of how to do it poorly. So these parents are homeschooling their child, and they decide to give him a normal high school experience, including bullying and detentions and a first kiss, both mom and dad. And the newly moved in neighbors are listening to this in horror, rightfully, and then they meet the kid and he seems perfectly fine until he brings out a mop with his mom's face on it that he calls his girlfriend. Like, again, maybe it could be a funny one-off gag or like a Family Guy cutaway gag. Hey Lois, remember when we homeschooled Brian? They only have the one joke that if it makes you laugh, it makes you laugh like as the short begins, and they still have minutes more to fill. So the only thing they can think to do to sort of elevate or build on the joke is to make it like more shocking, which is why they do the whole incest part, because they don't know how else to continue the joke. And this one in particular just goes on forever. And what gets me about this one is that it's just sad. They do a joke about how the kid is extremely self-loathing.
I don't think I'll ever forget the first time Kevin told us that he wished he'd never been born.
He was only 12.
Precocious kid.
You know, studies show that the average child doesn't express that kind of self-loathing till they're 15. Yeah, I bet.
I don't want to just point to a lot of the jokes in this movie and say it's offensive, so it's bad, because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I feel like most people agree that these jokes are tasteless. But like this whole short is like, haha, child abuse. Isn't it funny? Haha, this kid hates himself. Isn't it funny? Haha, this kid has mental problems from all the horrific child abuse they've suffered. Isn't it funny? Anna Faris asks Chris Pratt to poop on her. And Chris Pratt's like, oh my god, what do? I gotta run the math on this. Until he gets encouragement from his friend to do it. And then he takes a bunch of laxatives, and then they're having sexy times, and he's like, oh, come on, let me shit all over your face. And she's like, oh, no, not yet, we gotta wait. And then he keeps trying to push it, and she's like, no, I hate you now. And she goes running off into the street, and Chris Pratt's holding his ass because he can't hold the shit in his ass. And then Chris Pratt gets run over and shit goes everywhere out of his ass. And she's like, oh my god, this is beautiful, covered in shit. What am I supposed to say? Like, I want to add something to these descriptions of the short, but what am I supposed to add? There's no effort being put in. It's just a poop joke. They tell a shitty joke. They like repeat the shitty joke over and over again, except maybe make it a little more shocking some of the times, and then you end with basically the same joke repeated. Shitty jokes, talking about the shitty jokes, and then more shitty jokes, and that's the movie right there. That's movie 43 for you. Two exes get into an argument while one is at work, and they're on the intercom this whole time, which is a horrifically overused joke. Like, I remember that shit was in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, and this came out like years later, which is like not even mentioning the asinine conversation they have, which is just lol so random. It's a bunch of shit like, oh no, I can't believe you sucked off that hobo for a pair of magic beans, and she's like, he was a wizard. That's actual dialogue from this movie.
I can't believe you sucked off that hobo for magic bean.
He was a wizard.
Also, something weird about the direction of this short, which I don't mention the direction in any of these shorts because they're like by the numbers. There's nothing special about them. But this one just, I don't even know if it's bad per se, it's just weird. They keep spinning the camera, like it's really disorienting, and like I guess it's supposed to make it look dramatic. It's ridiculous.
Do you still like creme brulee?
Do you still like fingers in your butthole?
You know the answer is yes.
Neil.
Veronica.
Neil.
What's the joke? They're horny. That's the joke. They're fucking.
I'll see you in church.
That could have been funny had the past couple minutes not been so painful. It also might have been funny if that was the end of the short, if that was the button at the end of the short. But no, it keeps going, and like one of the customers gives him this speech about, oh, get that pussy, my friend. Isn't sex great? I love sex. There's an MP3 player that looks like a naked woman. And wouldn't you want to fuck that? And is a cheap excuse to get boobs into the movie. Batman and Robin are at a speed dating event because there's a bomb threat by Penguin. So the first thing you'll notice about this short is that the costumes are horrendously bad. And I'm of two minds about this, because you'll notice the rest of the short doesn't look horrendously bad. None of the other shorts look this horrendously cheap. So I have two theories about this. One, this was just an artistic choice. For whatever reason, they thought it would be funnier, or they thought it would be, or somehow make the short better if the costumes looked like Party City Halloween costumes. Or, in my opinion, the more likely option is that they just told the actors to bring their costumes from home. Don't have to spend money on a costume, right? And it turns out that Supergirl was actually the Riddler in disguise, and they do the joke. Yes, they do the joke. Something that I'm sure you've probably thought by now is that maybe the humor in these videos could work if they were college humor YouTube videos and not in a movie that you pay for. You know, there are plenty of like YouTube skits where they dress up in shitty costumes, and that's fine. I don't make videos about random YouTube skits because they know what they are. They know they're kind of shit, but they're just there to get a laugh. You watch it, the time commitment is only a couple minutes, and then you're done. And that's it. But here, it is in a movie that you pay for. This was in theaters. Can you imagine watching this in theaters? So when the humor of the skit just boils down to reference humor, it's not funny because the movie, the fact that you put this in a movie just gives it this air of pretentiousness that you think this is good enough to be released in theaters. Again, I don't want to be misinterpreted here. There are plenty of low-budget movies that I love. I even think you could make a low-budget anthology comedy and make it good. But the humor would have to be slightly better than random YouTube videos that you can get for free. And even if this was like for free on YouTube, I still wouldn't like it because of the time commitment. Because when you watch silly internet skits, you watch them for a few minutes, maybe less, and then you're done. You can move on with your day. But this is an hour-and-a-half long movie. I think each of these shorts is instantly improved if you just split them up, don't put them together at all, forget the whole anthology thing, just make a YouTube channel with all the shorts uploaded onto it. Instantly, I think each short is improved because then you can watch them at your own leisure and it's not a gauntlet that you have to survive. Like in this skit, the idea of Batman being a bully to Robin is a kind of a fun idea. It could work, but because of the cheap Halloween costumes, it doesn't feel like Batman. It doesn't feel like Robin. It just feels like a bunch of guys playing pretend. And maybe that could work on YouTube where you could forgive it for being an amateur production just done together by friends.
See, but I see this as a YouTube or like TV thing. This isn't something that's made for the theaters.
This one nearly broke me last time. It nearly breaks me every time. Even the first time I saw it, I didn't know what the fuck had just happened.
This advertisement is so bad.
Machines are full of kids? What?
This short is so unfunny, so baffling, that like, all the other shorts, right? Even though I don't find them funny, I can still understand why someone might find them funny. I can understand what the writer thought was funny about it. But this one I don't. I genuinely do not understand what is funny about this. Like, maybe it's because it's a fake PSA and that can be a funny vehicle for comedy. But there's no joke. So this short is about kids in machines and like people are like smacking a vending machine and it cuts to like sad children holding up soda cans. And it's like, please don't hurt the kids in the machines. And that's it. What? What do I say about this? What? There's like, I can't even talk about how the joke doesn't work because I don't know what the joke is. There's not even any celebrities in this one. So like, you can't even get some pleasure about seeing a celebrity embarrass themselves. I'm genuinely baffled by this short. It confuses me every time. I don't understand it. I'm not going to pretend to understand it. And I don't think I'll ever understand it. So let's just move on. Kids are on a date. They're middle schoolers. And they have their date interrupted when the girl gets her period. And they don't know how to deal with it. They're like, oh my God, can we plug it up with a mop? And she tells them off rightfully. And then leaves, and then the dad comes in and is like, oh, what was that woman? I'm fucking women, am I right? Fucking, and then he farts, and everyone laughs.
Really? Oh, Dad, that was epic.
You don't know how badly I want to quit. You don't understand how many times when I was watching the movie, when I was taking my notes, as I'm filming this, how badly I just want to turn the camera off or stop watching it or stop writing it and just do something else. Like, you don't understand how badly this movie makes you just want to stop. Johnny Knoxville kidnaps a leprechaun as a birthday gift for his roommate, Sean William Scott. And they torture him and they demand a pot of gold. And then the leprechaun's brothers showed up. There's a big shootout, and the actor men kill the actor leprechaun. So then they take the leprechaun's bodies in little tiny body bags because it's funny, and then they dump them in the trash. They have a line where they say they can buy new girlfriends, which I get. It's a joke. They're supposed to be like misogynist, but when the rest of this movie has this dude bro energy, I kind of don't. It's uncomfortable to say the least. So then John Knoxville's like, oh, I didn't forget the other part of your present. And then they go into a room and there's a fairy there who says she sucks dick for gold coins.
Who is she? She's a fairy. Storybook fairy. What the hell am I supposed to do with a fairy?
I suck cock for gold coins.
Hi there, I'm Sean William Scott. Why don't you suck on my fucking dick and balls? Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and welcome to me getting my cock and schmeat sucked on. The joke is that they get a blowjob. That's the joke. Wouldn't it be cool to get a blowjob, the movie says? Oh, look at this hot lady. Wouldn't you love to have her suck on your schmeat? Halle Berry, Oscar winner Halle Berry, and Stephen Merchant are on a date. They play truth or dare, but quickly get bored of doing truths, so they start only doing dares. And the dares get more and more extreme and more shocking. Of course they do. They include grabbing a man's ass, blowing out a blind boy's birthday candles, and eventually they both get plastic surgery and tattoos. They get home. He looks Asian for some reason. And she says she's not into Asian guys, which is funny. And then immediately after, she's like, oh, I'm just kidding. Again, even the little things don't fucking matter in this movie. And they have sex. Hell yeah, right, am I right, lads? She has big titties. Yay! Again, it's just cheap shock humor. There's no setup, it's just shocking things happening. Can you tell I'm getting sick of the movie by now? A basketball team is unsure of their own skill. They're unsure that they can win the big game. And then their coach reminds them that they're all black and that their opponent's team is all white. Again, it's like a joke that could last like 2 seconds and be mildly funny. And they just repeat the same joke over and over. And that is the final skit. Kind of. You see, James Gunn directed and wrote a skit in the middle of the credits. And I've legitimately never watched it because I am so happy that the movie is over that I always ignore it. And I'm going to do the same this time. I know I said I'd be exhaustive, but who really fucking cares at this point? So that was the rundown of movie 43. We are officially 1/3 of the way through this video. And every short was unfunny, horrifically long, and painful to sit through. I know maybe you laughed at some of the visual gags as I played clips from them, but seriously, like, something that is so hard to convey in a review is how painful this movie is to actually just sit down and watch, because it is painful. So now we move on to the production history, and you may be wondering why this is its own segment, like why talk about this? Because I want to make a point. So Charles Wessler, the real guy, not Dennis Quaid playing him, got the idea for movie 43. He got an idea for an anthology comedy movie. Movie 43 means nothing, and he got the title from a relative of his who was talking about a movie called Movie 43. When he realized that that movie didn't exist, he stole the name, and that's how Movie 43 got its name. So after Charles Wessler met Hugh Jackman at a wedding, he decided to pitch him the short, the Balls on the Neck short. And according to him, Jackman read the script. The reason he gave for joining was something like, oh, I don't get to play comedy roles that often, so it was kind of an interesting, a new horizon for him to try and tackle. And I mean, only one person gets to say they had balls on their chin in a movie once, and that's Hugh Jackman. And they also managed to get Kate Winslet. And according to Charles Wessler himself, they mostly only agreed because they were friends with him. The truth is, I had a lot of friends who were in this movie, and if they didn't say yes, the movie wouldn't have gotten made. So then, they took the star power they had. They had Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet, and they used that to pitch the movie to other stars. They're like, hey, we're doing a comedy movie, and we have Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet in the movie. Do you want to be in it? And as they got more people to agree, their list of celebrities they could sell the movie on just grew and grew. So that is what actually happened. Here's my opinion, my uninformed opinion for legal reasons. My opinion on what they did. They cobbled together a piece of shit using as little money as possible with as many stars as possible, so they could make the most money possible. If you really believe in the movie you're selling, you don't go around pitching it based on the actors you convinced to be in it because they were your friends. Honestly, this movie would have been better with no-name actors, but then that would ruin the central joke. Which brings me to something I always bring up with this movie. The whole movie is sickeningly pro-celebrity. And now you may be thinking that's weird because these celebrities are humiliating themselves. You know, Hugh Jackman had balls put on his neck. And I'm sure that's what the celebrities thought. Like, oh, you know, I can show that I'm not up my own ass and I can, like, do a silly comedy. But it has the opposite effect because these skits are so horrendously unfunny that the only reason you could find them funny is if you think celebrities are gods among us, and so much better and more dignified than us plebeians. Like, it's not just that Chris Pratt is gonna shit all over Anna Faris. It's that's Chris Pratt doing the shitting. And you know Chris Pratt, and he's a god. It is the most disgustingly celebrity worship movie ever. They just used their friendships in Hollywood to make a piece of shit movie that could make some money. This movie is the epitome of everything wrong with Hollywood. Getting your friends paid, making a huge piece of shit as a tax write-off, and only seeing movies as like a way to make money. But we're still not done yet, because I need to explain to you why movie 43 is my least favorite movie of all time. There are plenty of bad movies, right? Jack and Jill is also a horrifically lazy cash grab of a movie. Not Cool is horrifically unfunny and offensive, both to the people it's making fun of and to anyone with good taste. That's not to mention all the films that are just like so wrong-headed and morally reprehensible.
I also hear you saying, oh, but surely the worst movie is like some home movie made by an amateur filmmaker, right? Like every movie I made is like on a technical level worse than movie 43, right? Well, movies are more than just the technical aspects. Like when you list your favorite movies or some of the best movies of all time, do you begin and end your analysis with just describing the technical aspects of it? You don't mention like characters or theme or whatever. It's just, is it technically proficient? No, so why would a discussion on your least favorite movie, why would it be different? On a pure technical level, you're right. Movie 43 is not the worst movie of all time. But there's so much more to movies than that, and I think that applies just as much for bad movies as it does for good movies.
So why this one? I need to get a little pretentious on you for a second. One of the most beautiful things about art is that you can see the world through someone else's perspective. Someone who's not like you at all. And this movie seems to laugh at that idea, but that's still not it. You don't have to make a fucking statement on the human condition. It can just be a funny comedy. But you can still have a piece of yourself inside the movie. All those other contenders for worst movie of all time do reveal something about their creator. Adam Sandler is a lazy fucker who wants to get his friends paid. Shane Dawson is a narcissistic prick who thinks his own farts smell like rainbows. All those alt-right shitheads are a bunch of shitheads. This movie tells me nothing about its creator. The reason this is my least favorite movie is because it makes me want to give up. This movie is so painful and so lazy that this movie tells you it is not worth putting effort into things you love. Just throw some shit together, make some lazy jokes, get your friends together. It's not worth putting effort in. It's all about making a bunch of money. That's all movies are worth. That's all art is worth. Don't listen to movie 43. Don't listen to it. Good movies, good art makes you feel alive. And movie 43 makes you want to be dead. And what more can I really say about it?
You know, that was terrible. I don't recommend it. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
So it's not a movie. Who? I'm gonna take a nap.